All right, so I've been trying to record this video. Um, I was going to do it on the desktop, I just don't have time to do it. So, hello everyone, it's Chewy. Um, so I wanted to kind of do a just an overview of Dragon Draft, and then uh, kind of get into a full gameplay. So I'm going to just talk through the strategies that I go through, the things that I say in my head, and give you guys kind of an idea as to how I approach this game mode. So this game mode kind of became popular with Dota 2, I don't know, a year or so ago, year and a half, and there's been a lot of auto chess or auto battlers as they call them that have popped up. One of the main things to think about when you're doing these is economy. So you want to always get as much gold as you can and lose as little life as you can, obviously. But to do that, um, there are multiple ways to gain gold in the game, and I'll kind of cover that. So first things first, um, this screen right here, these are going to be heroes that you can add to the hero pool. So the pool of heroes, if we look under, is it rules? Where is this? Yeah, I believe rules. Actually, if you just hit edit here, you'll see any of these characters that have a little house and next to them are going to be included by default into the pool of heroes for everybody. If you wanted to add any additional heroes, then what you would do is you would go ahead and remove any here and then try to add a new one. Sometimes I've noticed that this bugs out. When you add any new ones here, it'll be added into the general pool of heroes, and everybody will pull from that general pool. So anybody can grab any of these heroes that you're adding. So if you were looking to have like a goblin game, you really wanted to focus on that, you would add any goblin and troll characters that you have. So for instance, here's a troll that I'm going to add. Here's an orc. And the other troll's already added, so I don't really need to do that. But that's all I have here. I don't have Zolbar or anything like that. That would be really good for that kind of comp. Okay, so what I usually do, I'm just going to hit back there just so you can see. This is the setup I have right now. Some of these characters I put in here just to kind of trick other players. If they see a high cost character, a lot of people will just grab it. Like arbiters, for instance, everybody wants an arbiter. Well, if they see just this regular arbiter, some people are going to grab it. Whether or not it's good or not is another thing. I think, yeah, I thought it was clever. Whatever. Probably not. Okay, so what are the rules? Basic rules are everybody starts off with 100 life, and um, it's you versus 7 other players. Everybody has their own quote unquote chessboard, and you get a pool of characters that you can pick from every turn. After that turn is over, gold is dispersed, and they're calling it trophies in this, any trophies are dispersed as well. So when you fight an NPC, then you will be given an option for a trophy afterwards. I don't know yet if you beat the NPC, if you get a chance for better trophies. I don't think so. I just think that it's random. 1 second here. So I apologize if I am all over the place. I don't have a script or anything written out, and I'm not going to edit this. Excuse me. So how I always. All right, so let's go over some of the basics. Everybody has a certain amount of time before each match or each round to um, change in and out any of their heroes and build their team. And then after you're ready, then you're going to be against either an NPC or another player. Now your board is that you're playing is just for you. So let's say I'm playing and um, Baron is also playing. If Baron were also playing and we were matched against each other, he would see a different battle than what I'm seeing. Everybody's is individual, so RNG comes into play there. I'm not exactly sure 100% yet on how that equals out. So, for instance, if I were to beat his team, I'm not going to lose any hit points. But if he were to beat my team, he also doesn't lose any hit points, I don't think. I'm not 100% on that. So, okay, let's get into some of the things there. After each round, whoever wins, the other person will lose some health, and you also gain extra gold. So let's talk about earning gold. Each turn, early game, you gain I think 1 gold per match up to level 5ish, and then you start gaining 5 gold by default every match. On top of that, there are other ways to earn gold. One is by streaking, and no, that's not running around naked. Okay, I try humor. I'm not very good at it. But if you're streaking, that can be either lose streaking or win streaking. So if you are losing, it's a mechanic that the game gives you to stay in the game even though you are losing. Maybe you're getting bad rolls, you're getting bad characters, you're not forming a good composition very well, and you're just losing, and that's fine. There have been so many matches that I've gone, I've been at 20 health, and then that's when my team comes together, and then I take off and win. So you get the streaking. You can also earn interest. So if you have 10 gold at the end of a match, then you will gain 1 gold in interest. So you're gaining 10% basically, up to 50 gold or 5 gold per match. So your goal should be to get above 50, and then anything above 50 you can feel free to spend or save each match or each round. And you're going to be guaranteed at that point to be gaining 10 gold, because you're getting 5 for the default and then 5 for interest. And then if you happen to win a match, I think you gain like +3. Maybe you get more the more rounds you go, but then you're going to be gaining that. And then if you're streaking, I mean, you can gain. I think I've gained like 15 or 16 gold some rounds. That could be exaggerating, could be 14, but still, you can see then you have a lot more to play with there. So that's gold. Gaining experience, you gain after each round, you gain 1 experience, and here are the amount of experience you need to level up. The higher your level, the higher tiered heroes you could be offered. I've never gotten all the way to 20. The furthest I think I've leveled up is 15, and that takes a long time to get there. So that's it. So you gain 1 to level up. You can also by default spend 5 gold and gain 5 experience. So that will boost you up pretty quickly, especially early game. And I'll kind of go into some of what my methodologies are and my thoughts are in a game or in a match to quickly gain some levels, so that way you can gain some of the higher tier heroes. So heroes, if we look down here, there are 8 tiers. Everybody starts off pulling from this 250 heroes in the tier 1, and it's a shared pool. So if I were to grab all of the skeletons, for instance, I happened to roll lucky and I took all the skeletons, and nobody else could recruit them. But 250 in that pool means everybody's going to have plenty to grab from that pool 1. So as you gain level, you can pull from these higher tiers. They haven't explained exactly what that ratio is. I have noticed that once you're at about level 6 or 7 is when you could possibly start pulling from tier 3, and you could get lucky and roll that and get a tier 3 hero earlier as well. I have seen people, at like level 5 that had a tier 3 hero, maybe even somebody had a level 4, and that's just really lucky. I think you might have a 1% chance at level 4, and then maybe it goes up to 10% at level 5 to get a tier 3 hero. And tier 3 hero is what you're going to want to shoot for early in most cases. Okay. And then how you strengthen up beyond that is, 1, you can recruit 3 of the same hero, and then their star level, and just like your typical star level on your heroes, is going to go up 1. So everybody starts off at a 1 star, and then you can star up by gaining 3 of that same. So if you had 3 1-star dwarves, then it would star up to a 2 star. And it does increase their stats, so they're stronger. And then you can recruit 2 more 1-star dwarves, and you'll have 1 2-star and 2 1-stars. In order to get a 3-star, you have to have 3 2-star units. So you have to have a total of 9 of them that you've recruited, and then you can get a 3-star. I don't know, and I haven't tested out to see if you can get a 4-star or a blue star. Honestly, I don't see the worth in that yet. I mean, there could be a good reason for it later, and I just haven't stumbled upon it or thought about it. Another way to improve your heroes, and the most important way in Dragon Draft, and this is where it's different from a lot of other games out there, is by rarities. We all know the trick. You hire 3 heroes, and then you're going to, or your 3 weakest heroes are going to be the ones that you're offered to in the normal game to raise the rarity level. Same thing in Dragon Draft. So your goal should always be to have the character that you want to buff up the fastest should be one of 3 different characters that you have, and I'll get into it in the gameplay. But you can usually, if you have by round 6, which is when you're offered your first rarity, after that round is done, then if you have your first main damage dealer, then you can quickly rarefy them. By I think round 12, they can be legendary. And yes, you can go above legendary. You can go up to mythic. I have seen people with mythic heroes. However, you do not gain in a lot of strength, as we know from legendaries 1 through 10. It's once you hit mythic that they gain a lot of power. And I've yet to do that, honestly. And I've won a lot of matches without going mythic. I have been tempted to do it a few times because I wasn't hitting the next tier hero. But I've still decided not to do that. I think the furthest I've gotten is like a Legend 3 Ophaniel, which he might be worth going up to Mythic if the game lasted that long. Okay, so I think that's the basics. So you have your heroes, you have your gold, you have your experience, and the last thing is, well, there's a couple of other things. There's alliances, and then there's trophies. So alliances haven't really, from what I see, there's not a huge benefit to them. For instance, if I only had Ophaniel out there, he's 1 knight, right? So he's not going to get any of these buffs. He's not going to get the 20% damage against all damage types. But that has, it's usually okay. At least the strength of players that I'm playing against now. In the future, these alliances might really come into play, especially like dragons. Like if you can get 4 dragons on the field, you're getting a huge buff. And one thing to point out here is that if you have played other auto battlers, typically if I were to have 2 Ophaniels on the field, let's say in a different auto battler, that only counts as one knight in most games. But in this one, if I have 2 of the same character out there, I will gain 2 knights, if that makes sense. So if I had, like the ranger, if I had Ina out on the field, and I had two tier 2s, or two 2-stars and 2 1-stars of her out there, I'm going to have this 4 ranger buff all heroes receive, a plus 30% to dodge, which is good. So you can have a single hero getting you these alliances. There are other alliances here, so there's some pretty fun things that you can do that I actually haven't even tried yet. I haven't done the goblin strategy, but it does seem really fun. I'm just too afraid to lose points at this stage. So depending on where you place between 1st and 8th, the top 4 places generally, at least the top 3, will usually give you more points here. And it's this little dragon eye with a number after it. You can see I'm ranked 189 right now. This is typically called your ELO. That's based off of chess terms. So that's your ranking, and then, or your I can't remember what it's called, but my ranking is 189, right? But I have 1,006 ELO. I think we've all seen the rewards that you can get here. They get pretty huge. So we want to get as high as we can. The last thing to talk about is Let's see here. We have our alliances, and then you can have some of these like humans, for instance. All allied humans receive a 30% bonus to defense against any type of damage. That's pretty good. So if you have multiple humans out there, getting these alliance buffs are really nice. Last thing are trophies, and I mean it's still early, right? It's only been out for 2 days, but I think that some of the best trophies that you can get are, and some of the necessary ones are, just for a general strategy. You should always approach every game with a general strategy. You shouldn't say I'm going to go goblins 100% this time. Because you don't know, like you may never receive this Goblin Alliance offer. You may never receive the tier 2 Goblin Union. You may never receive the tier 3. That's not it. It's the one where they eat the other goblins. The trolls do. What is it? Oh, it's this one. Goblin eating trolls. You may never receive that. So then that strategy is crap if you're trying to force it. So what I generally do, this is my ranking. So out of the tier 1s, I will always grab the gold early. You get 7 gold early. And if I am offered this after round 1 and round 2, and I'll show you when we do a full game, round 2, I can level up to level 5 super early in the game, which means I'm going to get offered higher tier characters earlier than other players, which will give me an advantage. So that's my number 1 pick early. After that, I always grab this power seal, which gives everybody an additional 20% boost. And I usually, if I'm offered them, I usually get this +1. This isn't necessary, but I like having more options and more chances to gain more trophies. So each time you fight an NPC, you're offered 3. This will give you 4, and that you can choose one from. The second most important trophy I have found is going to be not random boost. This one, Knowledge Digger. The cost of experience is reduced by 1 because the higher your level, the better heroes you're going to be offered. And by default, it costs 5 gold to go up 5 experience. If you can reduce that to 4 gold for 5 experience, it doesn't matter so much early, but later game when you have to buy lots of experience to level up, it's really going to pay off. After that, I think it's important to, weakening is really good, this light weapon, and also the cost of heroes in the store, I don't think that's that important, honestly. I think that this one is pretty important, a tavern update. So, but by default, you can refresh the heroes offered to you by spending 2 gold. This one will reduce it to 1. Sorry, I got interrupted by kids. So that's pretty much it. Those are my favorites to get. Tavern upgrade, Knowledge Digger, light weapon here for sure. And you will usually get improving trophies, but that all depends on the offering. And then I think that gold is important. If you don't get it, that's fine. You can catch up later. It's only 7 gold. It's not a huge deal. More items is good, and power seal is good because 20% boost. Hey, now I could get humans if I wanted to, right? But that's 15% to all stats. But maybe I don't use humans later. You don't know what you're going to get later, so it's hard. I think restricting yourself to like an Elven Alliance, if you pick that, then in your mind you might be like, oh, I have that 15% buff. I need to get elves. You don't need to, but you might start thinking that to yourself, and then you might make bad decisions later. So just keep that in mind. General buffs, I think, are more important early, and then specific buffs are important later. But if you started off the game and you know had a couple goblin assassins and something else, then you were offered this Goblin Alliance, might be a good thing to pick up. And then especially the Goblin Union, where they just spawn more and more and more and more and more, that might be great, especially early to gain an advantage. And then if you happen to get this Goblin Union trolls, then later you could pick up a troll or two. So that's just my general overview. I know it's been 20 minutes, so hopefully this helps you guys, and I will go into a game after this. See ya!